This weekend I ran the Seashore Nature Trail 50K and the Surfing Santa 5 miler. It was my third time running the Seashore 50K, and that's in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Happens at the First Landing State Park, and it's a 50K. Obviously, it's 31.07 miles, I believe. Gaining about 980, 950 feet of something like that of elevation. Went into the race really with no huge expectations. Had my first 50 miler in October, so I had a pretty good base, and middle of October was when I ran the 50. So the next 2 weeks in October, tried to recover, and then worked on a little bit of speed, a couple 20 milers between the beginning of November and the midpoint of December anyway. Did a 20 miler a week before the 50K, and wasn't sure if that was going to be a good idea or not, but it paid off. It just added to the base, and I think it really helped me with my the mental aspect of going into a 50K and just knowing what I was able to handle, and kind of like how long I could hang on to the current pace that I was moving. So in saying that, I didn't really have a taper. This 50K is a trail 50, but the first about mile and a half is on a paved out and back, and in December in Virginia you can get just about any type of weather, so it lends itself nicely to being able to let you go out with a couple layers on and then come back and hit your drop bag, drop off all your extra layers, and then go ahead out for your first loop. At First Landing, you the way they have it set up, you do 2 15-mile loops plus the first out and back. So the first loop from after the out and back, and then you get to the start line again. The first portion of it's about 1.5 miles to the first aid station, so that's really not that bad. It's maybe 2 to 4 miles between each aid station after that, so it's pretty nice, pretty well supported. I did decide to take a waist belt with me that had capability to hold a water bottle, but I for some reason didn't take the same water bottle that I had been using with that particular belt, so it ended up falling out, and so the first loop I ended up carrying the water bottle, which made the waist belt obsolete. Just kind of one of those things that you can't really plan for. Well, you could plan for it, because you could use the same water bottle. That would make life a little bit easier. But anyway, got to the first aid station and met up with another one of the J&A Racing ambassadors, as I'm one of the ambassadors this year, and we ran together until Osmanthus, which was I guess from that point about 4 miles away from the first aid station, and it was good. It was good to have somebody to talk to and kind of pass the time. For the rest of the race, mainly I ran by myself. I obviously ran by quite a few other participants, as you definitely never feel alone on that course. If you're a lead packer, you still see people and you'll still pass people, so it's kind of nice in that aspect, that you're able to see some of the other participants, and that you're not the only one out there struggling. Like I said, though, it's really well supported, so I did take with me some pre-mixed bottles of Tailwind, so I had about 400 calories in pre-mixed bottles, and then I took with me about another 200 calories on the way. But I didn't only use Tailwind, and I was doing really well with liquids during the day. So it was even doing really well with sugar. So I was mixing Mountain Dew and Gatorade, and at the aid stations, and then between aid stations, I was drinking the Tailwind, and so that really kept me moving. And I can definitely say that my energy levels stayed up enough to where I didn't need to do any intervals. I think overall I probably only walked maybe 4 times for about 30 seconds, and those were on some of the uphills that I was actually able to tell were hills. Like I said, the elevation gains under 1,000 feet for the whole 31 miles. So um, there are a couple hills that you can tell that there's a little bit of grade to them, but other than that, the elevation change is pretty negligible. Um, the trail is really not very technical until you get to Osmanthus, and again, that was it's not technical with elevation or maybe any type of bouldering type climbing, but there's some technicality to the fact that there's some roots and there's some couple rocks, um, and it gets down at certain parts. You might have to pass between two trees, and you'll have to turn sideways to get through them. So if you can navigate that, or you're used to that, it makes it makes it a little bit more interesting, and you have to keep your wits about you. And on Saturday, there was even ice on some of the bridges, so you definitely had to um, be awake and with it to kind of make it through that area. I ran in the Topo Athletic ST2s, which is a 0 millimeter drop, 60 millimeter of cushioning, and as you can see, I got some of the mud from Osmanthus on there still. Um, but I talked to Topo, and they said that they'd be potentially putting out a trail shoe next year, so I'll be doing a review on these later. But as you can see right here, I hit a tree root, and it kind of slipped off and then punctured the EVA. It jerked my foot a little bit, but it didn't do enough to even scare me, but I definitely noticed it. So um, I was happy though with these shoes. I didn't twist my ankle at all this year. This being my third year running the race, I twisted my ankle a couple times last year, and yeah, I think I kind of dealt with maybe that sprain, strain, break, whatever it was for the rest of the year. So again, Tailwind, Topo. I wore a Boko hat. It wasn't this one. Um, really great hat. Definitely, since it was a newer hat, it kind of actually kept my head warm, as it was around the 40s, I think, throughout majority of the race. I had a Nun tablet before and a Nun tablet afterward, or Noon, however you pronounce it, and my spy belt. If you have a vest or anything like that, I'd suggest getting a spy belt, because you can actually have a little bit more storage around your waist. That wasn't the belt that I was using for the water bottle, but I also had the spy belt on. And then I would suggest the double pouch one, because I kept my phone in the large pouch, and then in the smaller pouches, or pouch, I've kept gels before, but for this 50K, and since I knew I was running the 5 mile afterward, I had a 5 hour energy in there. Getting to the bling, as always, they've been putting out these quarter zips for the last couple years, so I really like this one. I'm just under 180 pounds, and this is a medium, and it fits almost tailored. It looks really good, so I'm really happy about that. They went again this year with the wooden metal, and it's not metal, so I believe it's more sustainable. It's a little bit nicer. It's kind of a unique thing anyway, as you're steering away from the actual heavy duty metal type bling. But anyway, after that race, since I finished under 4 hours, which was only the second time I finished in under 4 hours, finished under 5 hours, which is only the second time I've finished a 50K under 5 hours. Um, I had about 2.5, almost 3 hours in between the 50K and the Surf and Santa 5 miler, which was put on by J&A Racing. I got to run with about 5,000 other people dressed up like Santa Claus, and we set a Guinness Book World Record. Finishing that one off, got the Surf and Santa 5 miler medal. Got to eat some gingerbread cookies and some candy canes on that route, so that was kind of fun. Ran that one with my wife, and because we completed that and two other J&A races, the Wicked 10K, the Norfolk Harbor Half Marathon, and then the Surf and Santa, we got the Triple Jog Dare. So 3 medals, 2 races, 1 day, really not a bad deal. J&A does a great job with all their races, their swag, really well organized. If you haven't run any of the races, come on out. Shamrock Marathon's coming up in March. And Tidewater Striders does a fantastic job with running their races. They do a great job with their support, their aid stations, and they're a little bit smaller scale races, but they do a good job with timing too. You still have the chrono chip on your bib. And so anyway, guys, this is the third time I've recorded this. Hopefully this one works out. If you have any questions, leave them down there at the bottom, any statements or comments. All right, have a good one.